The Orlando Magic had the second best defense in the NBA, and despite the fact that they dealt with so many injuries to their key players, they still managed to finish at 500. But how good is this team really? Are the Orlando Magic contenders in this upcoming season in a wide open Eastern Conference? Welcome to 30 Teams in 30 Days, let's hop into the Orlando Magic. So last year, despite everything they went through, Orlando had a pretty solid season. They won 41 games exactly, finishing right at 500, and they made it to the first round before they were eliminated in 5 games by the Boston Celtics. They were the number 2 defense in the NBA, however they were a bottom 3 offense and the worst shooting team in the NBA, and it was by a pretty decent margin as both their shooting efficiency and volume were the worst in the league. Their lineups were also relatively mediocre, with their starters being ranked around 16th and their bench being ranked around 18th. But all of this was with heavy injuries. Paolo Banchero, one of the best young stars in the game, he only played 46 games. Franz Wagner, someone who had a breakout season, only played 60 games. Jalen Suggs only played 35 games. Ironically, it was Jonathan Isaac of all people who actually remained healthy last season. But let's start off talking about the Orlando Magic key players, and I want to actually start off by talking about Franz Wagner, someone who was in the middle of a breakout season last year. Now, in my opinion, he should have been nominated as an all-star, and if he would have hit the 65 game limit, we probably would have seen him in voting for most improved player. Wagner averaged about 24, 6, and 5 on 46, 29, 87 shooting splits. This was about 5 more points per game and a whole assist more per game compared to the year prior. Like I said, he was one of the most underrated players in the league that I'm pretty sure was even garnering MVP attention at one point, just given how much of this roster he was absolutely carrying on both ends of the ball. And he was just a huge positive. He made the Magic better by about 8 points per 100 possession on offense and about 5 points per 100 possession on defense, giving him a net rating of near 13. It's no surprise that even though the Orlando Magic had just a win percentage of 50%, they went 33 and 27 in games when Wagner played. Now, the biggest concern and the thing to watch with Franz Wagner in this upcoming season is his ability to shoot. Either just his regular 3-point shooting or on catch and shoot shots, he shot just 29% from 3. Given the fact that the Magic's other star players aren't typical 3-point shooters, that is a little bit cause for concern. However, you can counter this that even in a non-shooting lineup, that being when he played with Paolo Banchero and Wendell Carter Jr., it was still a positive net rating despite the fact that neither of those guys are big 3-point shooters. And let's talk about Paolo Banchero because he is, in my opinion, the most underrated young star in the league that every single person forgets about. So last year, Banchero played 46 games, he averaged 26 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 45, 32, 72 shooting splits. This is a guy who would have gotten his second All-Star appearance if it weren't for the injuries, I think it was an oblique injury, that he dealt with in the previous season. I'm gonna admit, in my opinion, Banchero is kind of like a young LeBron James. I know it sounds crazy, but I actually kind of have a few reasons. First off, both of these players were drafted to small markets, obviously LeBron to Cleveland, and then Paolo Banchero to Orlando. Both of these players are great slashers who absolutely carry their team. They are freight trains on the way to the basket, but they can actually make plays and dish the ball pretty well too. Paolo Banchero is incredibly athletic for his size, but like I said, he can run you over just like LeBron during that first stint in Cleveland. Even though he's not as healthy and he doesn't have nearly the ceiling that LeBron James has, Paolo Banchero is also carrying and willing this young franchise. I see a lot of resemblance between these two, that being from both a narrative and from an actual gameplay standpoint. We did see Banchero in a small sample size of only 46 games. We did see that he had great box score stats, and he had a huge spike in his advanced stats from his All-Star season. He ranked in the 70th percentile of isolation scores, 65th in transition, 62nd in cutting. He's the kind of guy who can score in the pick and roll, can score to the post, can score as a ball handler. He can really score in any way you need him to. Like Wagner, I do want to see if Banchero can become just a little bit better of a 3-point shooter. I don't expect any of these guys to become elite, but if they can space the floor at just an average level, especially for the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, that will go a long way. The other thing that gives me hope about Paolo Banchero's star potential, the reason why I even put him in the same breath as a young LeBron James, is because he's a guy who's already proven himself to raise his game in the playoffs. So Banchero has made the playoffs twice in his career, both of the times being eliminated in the first round. Last year in their 7-game series, he averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists while shooting 45% from the field. And then this year against the Boston Celtics, he averaged 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists again. While playing good defense, he also shot 44% from 3 in this series against the Celtics. This tells me that Paolo Banchero is the kind of guy who can take over a game from every single standpoint. He has the capability of shooting well from outside, he can slash to the inside, he can playmake at a level for his teammates, and of course we know he can defend and rebound. And on top of all this was only his 3rd season in the NBA. He is only 23 years old. He is a one-time All-Star, one-time Rookie of the Year. I mean, of course, you're only a one-time Rookie of the Year, but this is a guy who has accomplished so much and has shown so much potential in just a brief amount of time. But I hope that we see another major stride from Banchero, and he is going to enter into those all NBA level conversations and maybe even receive some MVP votes. So one of the new players worth talking about, and that is Desmond Bane. This was one of the first major moves that we really saw of the offseason, but the Magic and Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane for Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 4 first-round picks. Now, this is obviously a heavy price to pay, and I'm still a little bit back and forth, but we're gonna have to see how those picks exactly turn out. But Desmond Bane is definitely a good player. Last year for the Grizzlies, he averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and they're definitely going to need that playmaking, but the big thing was his efficiency. He was 48% from the field, 39% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. Bane is going to give them that much needed 3-point boost without ruining this team's culture. I don't know the exact stats, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bane was a better defender than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, just given that he is a bit younger. On top of that, Desmond Bane was in the 70th percentile of pick and roll scoring, so given the fact that this was still a bottom 3 offense that is going to need playmaking, and outside of Banchero and Wagner doesn't really have that playmaking from like smaller position, I think Bane is going to help out with that. My question with Bane is, what is his exact ceiling, and is he going to be relegated from the role that we've previously seen him as? The Magic have their number 1 in Paolo, and they have a pretty clear number 2 in Franz Wagner. I think Desmond Bane can be a great number 3, but not in the big 3 kind of way where it's unsuccessful for a team. I think Bane can be a great number 3, but I don't want to see him relegated to just a catch and shoot player or just a 3-and-D kind of guy. I want Bane to remain as a dynamic player, and I want him to remain as a guy who is heavily involved in the offense, maybe some like Bane and Banchero pick and rolls, or like Bane and Wagner plays. So I really hope in this upcoming season, Jamal Mosley uses him correctly and uses him to his fullest potential instead of just being, you're a good 3-point shooter, go stand on the corner, because that is not how you're going to get the most out of Desmond Bane. And someone else to talk about as a key player for the Magic, and that is Jalen Suggs. So Suggs is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he's a guy who probably would have been again in all NBA defensive conversations if he played more than 35 games. But in those 35 games, he averaged 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, but he was quite inefficient from the field, shooting just 41% from the field and 31% from 3. However, there was still at least some promise given the fact that he shot 88% at the line. Now, the good thing about Jalen Suggs is that he increased every single major stat. He scored more points, he had more assists, he got more rebounds, he had more blocks, and he had more steals per game. Of course, due to a knee injury, he only played 35 games, and that is a little bit concerning, but the fact that he was the 64th percentile in pick and roll ball handling, that gives me a little bit of hope that he could go on to be this team's either 6th man, a good shooting guard, or maybe a starting point guard, but I kind of doubt that because of another addition I'll talk about in a second. It's good to see that Suggs is capable of scoring a little bit more and doing a little bit more, going up to that 16 points per game, but it is clear that is outside of his wheelhouse and outside what he is capable of. Like, for example, in the year prior, in 2023 to 24, he played 75 games. He was 10th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He was 2nd team all defense. He scored about 12.5 points, but he was 47% from the field and 39% from 3. On top of that, he shot 39% in the corner while shooting 25% of his attempts in the corner, versus last year where only 14% of his attempts were in the corner. So Suggs is a good shooter, it's just that he's not as good when it comes to creating his own shot. So hopefully if this Magic team remains healthy and if we see that playmaking boost from Banchero, from Wagner, from Bane, we don't have to see Suggs get relied on as much, and then maybe we can see his efficiency go back up. At the end of the day, he is only going to be 24 years old. He is still a young player, and there could still be some level of growth from Jalen Suggs. I'm confident in him as a playmaker. I feel a lot of confidence in him as a defender. It's just a matter if he can stay healthy, because he definitely didn't play a lot of games in the first 4 years of his career. So another player, I'm not really calling him one of the key players for the Magic, but someone who might be starting, I think should be starting for the Magic, and that is the former Phoenix Sun, Tyus Jones. Jones is coming off an incredible season, and he was someone that I did want to talk about just going into this offseason, no matter what team he went to. But for the Suns, Jones averaged about 10 points and 5 assists per game. But the big thing is he averaged 41% from 3. that would instantly make him the best shooter on this Orlando Magic team, and he did it on the highest volume of his career. The Phoenix Suns were an absolute mess, but that was not because of Tyus Jones. If anything, Tyus Jones saved the little bit that was there. So you add in his own ability to create a shot, you add in that little floater game that he has, and now you add in a really good three-point shooter. I think he's going to be the perfect starting point guard, and he's going to take some of the ball handling responsibilities away from Bane and away from Banchero. So now the Magic are looking at a probable starting lineup, I would say, of Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and then probably Wendell Carter Jr. You have two 40% three-point shooters at the guard, and then you have two decent shooters, guys who more focus on interior scoring, in Wagner and in Banchero. I think that's going to give you a pretty decent lineup, especially because you have a decent amount of playmaking without giving up your defensive identity either. Wendell Carter Jr. did have a bit of a down year in the last season. He only averaged about 9.7 rebounds, 2 assists on 46% from the field, which definitely isn't that great. But Wendell Carter is a good defender, he's a good rebounder, and he shot 70% at the restricted areas. So if you get him like in the pick and roll, for example, he is still a pretty effective player. He did add a 3-ball ever since joining Orlando. He shot above 30% on about 1 or 2 attempts per game at certain times in his career. But last season, he only shot 23%, so we're gonna have to see if that bounces back. If he doesn't have to create his own shot at all, and if he is with playmakers, I think we could be seeing a decent season from Wendell Carter Jr., but he's obviously not this team's only center. So someone who spent a lot of time playing alongside Wendell Carter Jr. and someone who I think can fully take over at that center position, that is Goga Bitadze. So Bitadze is gonna be 26 years old, and he's coming off of a really good season as he was a starter, but he played a lot of backup center minutes. So he averaged about 7.6 rebounds, 2 assists per game, but he did that on 61% from the field. On top of that, he reached multiple career highs. Bitadze had a career high in his player efficiency rating, true shooting percentage, rebounding rate, assist rate, win shares, box plus minus, and value over replacement player. In my opinion, he is an incredibly underrated center that has improved this Magic team on both sides of the ball. And then a few other guys to mention, Orlando has a solid bench. It's not the best in the world. I still think that there are some improvements that could be made, but their bench is solid. So surprisingly, of all people, Jonathan Isaac was healthy. Yeah, that Jonathan Isaac. So from the years 2019 to 2023, he only played 45 games. He missed 2 whole seasons to injury, and then he missed 2 other seasons basically being injured the entire time. But last year he played 71 games, and it's Jonathan Isaac. He was awful on offense and actually had one of his worst offensive years, but he is still an elite defender, and his PER, box plus minus, and value over replacement player all point him to being an above average player, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Isaac, being around 6'10", 6'11", is also a guy who can play that power forward or backup center position without being able to shoot the 3, of course. And then spending a lot of time at their backup point guard, you've got Anthony Black. Black is going to be only 22 years old. It's only his 3rd year in the league, but last year he's played a lot more minutes. He doubled his points, he doubled his steals, his blocks, he doubled his assists. Overall, he had a good year, but he kind of had that same issue as Jalen Suggs. His shooting from his rookie season went from 39 to 31%, so I think he has the capability of shooting the ball. He just doesn't have the capability of creating his own shots. He and Jalen Suggs also did not play well together last year, as they were nearly minus 10 points per 100 possessions, but I would argue because both of those players were put outside of their comfort territory and just asked to do things that they weren't capable of doing, I imagine that Black could play well alongside, obviously, Paolo Banchero, but I think he could play well alongside guys like Desmond Bane or guys like Tyus Jones. Someone also to keep an eye on is Tristan da Silva. So last year was his rookie season. He was the former 18th overall pick. He is an older rookie, being 24 years old going into the next season, but he started about half of his games. He averaged 7 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist, shooting 33% from 3. Unfortunately, on this Magic team, shooting 34% from 3 is kind of a good thing. The other major player to talk about, the brother of Franz Wagner, and that is Mo Wagner. So Mo Wagner, he was in the process of not having as much of a breakout season, but he was in the process of having the best season of his career until injuries derailed him, and he only played 30 games. In those 30 games, most of them coming off of the bench, he did play well. 13 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, an amazing 36% from 3, amazing for the Magic, but he also had a PER of 22, which is absolutely insane. Mo Wagner is not the star level player that his brother could be, but he's a good defender, he's a good rim runner, and he can shoot the ball a little bit. He's a good backup center, and I wouldn't be surprised if we even see him getting some starting level center minutes, assuming he's healthy. And that's the thing with the Magic, is because they have 2 major things that are going to affect them and are going to affect their ceiling in this upcoming season. their health, and their ability to shoot the three ball. This team was not healthy at all last season. Basically, all of their stars missed playing time, and that was the reason why we couldn't even see them get nominated for awards, because 3 of their best players missed a lot of games. There's not much I can really say about this besides just hoping that they could be healthy. Yeah, a guy like Jonathan Isaac getting injured, he's basically not there anymore, so that's why I'm so surprised about last season. But we have to hope that guys like Wagner and guys like Suggs and guys like Banchero, we have to hope that all these guys stay healthy. But if they stay healthy, that's when things really get dangerous, because this team is projected to be around a 50-win team. And with the Celtics not going to be able to compete at full strength, and with the Pacers not going to be able to compete at full strength, if this Magic team is healthy, and if some guys make the improvements that I'm expecting them to, because this is an incredibly young team, and Desmond Bane is a very good player, he is their 3rd best player, and he can shoot the 3 ball, then this makes me think that the Magic could probably be maybe a 3 or 4 in the East, just depending on how things go. I personally am incredibly high on Paolo Banchero. I think he has the potential to be the #1 guy in the league. I think he could be a face in the league. Okay, maybe #1 guy amongst American players, but I think Paolo Banchero genuinely has the opportunity to be one of the major faces in the league. And in only his 4th season, a guy who's still on his rookie deal, he's a guy that can really do a lot for this Orlando team. But his ceiling and the ceiling of this team is going to rely not just on their health, but on their 3-point shooting. Because looking at these 3-point stats and even trying to find the good things, there just aren't really a lot of good things. So one player that I didn't mention, but he is a bit one of their younger guards, Caleb Houston. He was the team's top catch and shoot 3-point shooter, but he still only shot 40%. Amongst catch and shoot, that's good, but not great. Mo Wagner is then their next best player on catch and shoot shots. He shot 37%. Jalen Suggs shot around 35%, Paolo Banchero shot 34%, Tristan Da Silva shot 34%, Anthony Black shot 33%. These are catch and shoot 3-point attempts. These aren't regular 3-point attempts. These should be the easiest shots in the game. Desmond Bane and Tyus Jones both shot 43% on their catch and shoot opportunities. So I think from just a pure spacing standpoint, let alone the shot creation from a spacing standpoint, that's going to help out, because that's going to allow guys like Wagner, and it's going to allow guys like Suggs, or it's going to allow Banchero, it's going to allow them to drive in and actually have a reasonable threat to kick it out to. And someone that I didn't mention yet, Jace Richardson, the son of Jason Richardson. Holy crap, we are old. He is a rookie. I don't really expect a whole lot out of him, but he did shoot 41% from 3 in college, so he might be able to help out the spacing. But I would really love to see them go out and just sign one more player, ideally like a guard or a wing who can shoot the ball. From what I know, at the time I make this, Seth Curry is still available, and Seth Curry statistically is one of the best 3-point shooters of all time. He would be a great signing on this team. No team can be highly successful in this NBA without being like at least an average 3-point shooting team. But with the additions of some of the new guys and with the improvements that I'm hoping that this team will make, I can see this team becoming probably around league average while still maintaining being an elite defense. So are the Orlando Magic a good team? It depends. It's going to depend on if they're healthy, and it's going to depend on if they can shoot the 3 ball at where I'm putting their max potential at, which I think would be around a mid-tier shooting team. It would also help if they increase their pace a little bit too. This is a team that I think can make it in the 2nd round at the very least, because I know Banchero can carry them in the 1st. This is a team that I think can make the 2nd or even the 3rd round, and as the Pacers proved to us, anything is possible when you have the right team gelling together. So Magic fans, get excited. Last year was an injury-prone season. I don't expect that to happen this year. This is going to be a good year of Orlando basketball. This was 30 teams in 30 days. If you liked the video, you know what to do, and I'll catch you all next time.